In today's video, I'll tell you everything I know about the highway driving assist and when you should and when you shouldn't use it. The content provided in this video tutorial is intended for educational and informational purposes only. I'll test it out in a couple of different scenarios. We'll go out on a highway, we'll drive on a small rural road like I'm driving right now, and we'll also test it out in regular local traffic conditions. So if you don't want to miss that, stick around. My name is Joko and welcome to Urban Auto Adventures. First of all, what is the highway driving assist? The highway driving assist is actually a level 2 advanced driving assist system, which is kind of like a semi-autonomous system put in place in some vehicles to take full control over the vehicle when driving under regular highway conditions. This doesn't only apply on highway conditions, but it can also apply on smaller rural roads like we are currently on right now. The only thing is, on smaller rural roads, you don't have very good markings on the road, which, confuses the system, and that's why it's asking for assistance in a way. But it's also not recommended to use it on smaller rural roads because of traffic as well. We have 2-lane traffic, as you can see, going on here, and sometimes in bad weather conditions or, sometimes even the lines on the road, they might be going haywire, so it might confuse the system and you might veer into the opposing lane, which is, an accident waiting to happen. Definitely do not recommend using it on a small rural road unless it's very good marked and it's 2 lanes in one way, so it's pretty much kind of like a highway. The highway driving assist feature doesn't work always. It won't work when the software is malfunctioning or it's updating. It won't work on all roads and highways in the United States because it has GPS data and uses that data and information to recognize where your vehicle is currently located. So if the highway is not part of the highway driving assist feature system, then you won't have the highway driving assist feature on your car. It also won't work when there are bad or no road markings. It also won't work when the forward collision warning system in the front of the vehicle is covered up with mud or snow, slush, so during bad weather conditions. And it also won't work on certain New York and California highways. Now, I read on forums that it's just a few highways in certain parts of New York and California, but if you live in those states and especially in those parts of the state where it's forbidden, then you probably know what I'm talking about. But if you haven't had any issues with your HDA, working in those states, then you're probably not living in those areas. And last but not least, it won't work if it's not activated in the menu here in your vehicle, and you can activate it in the following way. And in the 2023 Palisade, I will show you how you can find it. Now here you go into setup, you go into vehicle, and what we're interested in is the driver assistance menu here, and on the right hand side we can see the sub menu. We are not going to talk about all the safety and convenience features that come with the 23 Palisade that you can see here in this menu, but we'll talk mainly about the driver assistance menu and the sub menus that it comes with. First, we'll go with the driving convenience, and in the driving convenience is where you can find your highway driving assist checkmark. This needs to be checked in order for the highway driving assist to be active. And as you see here, we also have checked the highway lane change assist as well as the auto speed change. Now the auto speed change, highway auto speed change, simply adjusts the speed of the vehicle when you are approaching a sharp curve on the highway. It does not take into account exit ramps or on ramps or anything like that. So you got to take over when it comes to that. The smart cruise control feature here, like I said before, this is where you can adjust your distance, the acceleration and reaction speed of your adaptive cruise control. Next, we have speed limit. In this submenu, you can actually control whether or not the Palisade will adjust the speed according to the posted speed limit. Since we have sign recognition, it can actually recognize the signs and the posted speed limit. So if you're entering a zone with a lower speed limit, it will actually lower the speed limit. I don't like that feature. I don't even like to be warned when the speed limit changes. I feel like that's totally on me. So that's why I have it completely disabled, so that I don't get any annoying, beeps or warnings or audible or visual, whatever. I just don't like the feature. Warning methods. We have here the haptic warning is simply, it vibrates the steering wheel whenever you have a warning of any sort. I have it turned off because I find it a little bit distracting and annoying. It simply lowers all audio volumes when driving. Safety system sounds a warning, radio, or even if you're talking on your phone. And the parking safety priority is the same thing. It will lower the volume of the radio or your phone call if you're backing to a parking spot and it notices an obstacle. Next, we have driver attention warning, and this is, I believe, the feature where it says consider taking a break with the coffee cup, as we can see here. But it's also the feature, and I kind of like that, because this is a leading vehicle departure alert, which means that when you stopped at a traffic light and you're either on your phone or you get distracted for a second and the vehicle in front of you pulls up or start driving. So it's kind of a nice reminder so that you're not just sitting there on a green light with people honking behind you, which is very cool. Next, we have our driving safety. I have all of these turned on, as you see: forward safety, cross traffic safety, side safety, lane safety, blind spot safety. All of these are turned on because I want all of the proximity sensors of the vehicle to be active whenever I'm using the highway driving assist. Forward, sides, corners, and everything like that. And for my forward safety warning, I have it standard, which means that I don't want to be notified late whenever I'm about to hit something. And last but not least, we have our parking safety. You have your camera settings here. You can check all these. These are pretty much personal preference, whatever you want. And this is how you can activate the highway driving assist feature on the 2023 Palisade and all of its safety measures. Now, again, for your vehicle, either go to your owner's manual or your local dealership if you are not sure whether or not you have that feature or you don't know how to activate it. In this case now, where we have 2 lanes, I will turn on the smart cruise control and turn on our self-driving ability, release the accelerator, adjust the cruise control to the local speed limit here, and now we are cruising on a local road, as you can see. The reason why I'm doing that is because we have 2 lanes in one direction. We have clearly visible lines here in the center and a clearly visible line here on the right hand side. I wouldn't use it in these conditions. For example, like this, we just ran through an intersection. Intersections are not usually well marked, so this might be a situation where the vehicle could get confused and run you off-road. So I will take it off and take complete control over the vehicle. Again, it's not a fully autonomous driving system, it's a semi-autonomous driving system. Unlike Tesla and other fully autonomous cars, the HDA in the Hyundai Palisade that I'm currently driving will not take exits for you. It will not slow down in traffic lights unless there is a vehicle in front of you and you have the adaptive cruise control, enabled. In that case, it will see the vehicle and it will slow down. So I will only enable the smart cruise control in this case. I am in full control of the steering wheel. Now, if I want to enable the highway driving assist feature, I can push on this button. But the highway driving assist feature is not fully enabled. Yes, the vehicle is, steering by itself, but when we have the highway driving assist feature fully enabled, we will also see an HDA illuminated, sign here, as we will see a little bit when we get on Interstate 80 actually. But now the vehicle is just staying in the lane, which is kind of like a lane keep assist feature. It is still semi-autonomously driving the vehicle, but we are not in the highway driving assist feature. You can see that it recognizes vehicles ahead of us. It's not recognizing the vehicles that are passing us. And it's only recognizing the vehicles when you have your adaptive cruise control enabled and your highway assist button. So now, as you can see, we got the warning and we're approaching Interstate 80. So I will disable both so that I can get on the interstate. Okay, so now we are on a interstate with good driving conditions. The road is dry. I definitely wouldn't recommend driving with HDA enabled during bad weather conditions, rain, snow, fog, low visibility. I would definitely recommend using HDA only during good weather conditions. Every time the weather goes from good to bad, take over. Do not fully rely on the HDA system. In order to enable it, what we'll do is first we'll enable our adaptive cruise control, and by pushing on the adaptive cruise control, as you see here on our dashboard, we immediately have our green steering wheel sign enabled, as well as our left and right turn signals, which we'll talk about in a second. Next to that, we have the navigation set at 76 miles per hour. And here we have our distance on our adaptive cruise control. In the menu, you can see that both lines are green, and the system recognizes vehicles on the left and the right hand side of us. We know that the highway driving assist system is active by the illuminated green lettering here, HDA, that we see on our dashboard, as well as on our heads-up display. Now we have passed this truck. We can confirm by looking in the mirror. All I will do is I will not completely hit the turn signal, but just flick it like that. The vehicle will notice that there isn't any vehicle in the right lane, and it will merge by itself, just like you saw. I will demonstrate again by going in the left lane. I will not completely put the turn signal down, just flick it. Vehicle will recognize that there is nobody in the left lane, and it will change lanes. Let's do it again. So I will just flick it like that. And there we go. We just changed lanes. I mean, the car just changed lanes, which is pretty cool, I guess. It's not as smooth as I wish it to be. That's why, sometimes I take over and, I change lanes myself. But it does the job, I guess, so it's a cool feature. So one thing I noticed actually with the HDA that I haven't seen any videos talk about it is I believe that it is struggling with recognizing the yellow line. I don't know if it's like a software, like a system thing, or a luminance, like a contrast thing between the yellow color and the highway. But as you see here, we are actually stepping on the yellow line, and we're not supposed to do that. The system is having trouble recognizing it and therefore staying center and in the left lane. So I've noticed that after a while, you'll actually get a warning signal on your dashboard saying that, let's take a break. So if you want to avoid that, as soon as you pass a vehicle, go back in the right lane where you have the white line, and so we'll do that. There we go. And as you see, it actually keeps it perfectly centered between the white lines. So I do think it's a software thing where, hopefully Hyundai fixes that in the future with a update or something. I don't know. So that's why I don't recommend it using the HDA at night, where, the yellow lanes are even less visible. To demonstrate again, I will go again in the left lane. And there we go. Consider taking a break. This is the system telling us that, hey, listen, I don't really know what I'm doing, so it's better if you take over, but also, if you're tired, take a break. And in cases where you are passing somebody, you're on your cruise control and you're passing somebody and you're almost driving the same speed, feel free to hit the accelerator. You can still hit the accelerator while your adaptive cruise control is active, so that you can speed up, pass the vehicle, release the accelerator. The vehicle will return to its original, cruise control speed, and then you can go on with your day. Don't go passing other vehicles with a 1 mile per hour difference. Like, it takes forever and you're just creating a blockage, like you're just impeding traffic at that point. In a little bit, we'll get on Interstate 55, which is a little bit of a busier interstate, and we will see how the vehicle behaves, in a 3-lane interstate condition, as well as, even more traffic. Now, I personally don't use HDA in more congested traffic because of the adaptive cruise control, and, as soon as you have somebody cutting you off or, you know, jumping between you and the vehicle in front of you, the system will actually hit the brakes to get that distance again from the adaptive cruise control, which can be a little bit tricky in congested areas because, you know, the car behind you might not be paying attention and you might get rear-ended, which is not fun at all. What happens if you want to turn and there is a vehicle in your blind spot? So let's see here what happens if there is a vehicle in your blind spot and you don't necessarily see it, or you haven't passed the vehicle yet. So I will put the turn signal now. The HDA noticed that we hadn't passed the vehicle yet, so it waited for us to pass it and then merged lanes, which is very intuitive actually. So we're going to pass this vehicle again. And now we have keep hands on steering wheel sign. Okay, so we have not met the conditions. So let's see why. Let's do it again. I believe one of the reasons why we needed to keep our hands on the steering wheel is because before, when we passed the truck, we actually put the turn signal on while we were passing a vehicle. So the system wants to make sure that we are still in control and that we know that we aren't supposed to pass, you know, when there is a vehicle in our blind spots or in our adjacent lanes. Everything that you see here on the dashboard, you also see on your heads-up display. And again, we have considered taking a break. That's because we are again in the left lane. The vehicle cannot stay center, so it's actually veering left and right, trying to figure out where the center is. And that's why it's kind of getting tired and saying, hey, listen, we need to take a break. You're obviously not in a condition to drive. You're tired, but it's not us that is tired. It's the vehicle that cannot recognize the lanes. So now we just entered a place where, you know, lines are not as clearly marked, and that's why I always keep a hand near the steering wheel where I can, you know, take over right away if something goes haywire. If we have HDA enabled and, you know, we need to take the exit, it will not automatically take the exit for us like we have in fully autonomous driving vehicles. So that's why I would recommend, you know, disabling the system before your exit and taking over manually so that you can change lanes. Roads here on Chicago are horrendous, man. Now we slow down, let these guys merge, check our blind spot, nothing there. We also have our blind spot right here. And we have a truck there on the shoulder, so we want to stay clear. Either his door opened or he forgot to close it. Good job, buddy. We have a short on ramp here, so what we want to do is we want to accelerate and merge. Now we are in a 3-lane traffic, so what we'll do is we'll go in the center lane, hit our adaptive cruise control, adjust our speed here, we'll put it at 70. Now we're driving behind the truck, that's why we're going 60, but if we go in the left hand side lane, there we go. Now we can go, let's see, we have a vehicle in our blind spot, so it will not change lanes yet. And now we got a notification, check surroundings. So that was a very good example of what it does. So now we have no vehicle and it changed lanes. And again, we have considered taking a break because it cannot figure out for some reason, you know, the lines here, which come and go obviously. But an interesting thing is you don't have to have the adaptive cruise control active. You can also disable it, and you can have the green steering wheel, as you can see, is still active, which means that the car is still steering for us, but it will not change lanes. So even if I do the turn signal, it will not change lanes for me unless I manually change lanes. Once we change the lane, we get the green steering wheel, which means that the car is again in control. The adaptive cruise control is not active, which means that I am controlling the speed that we're going. So if you want to turn back on the adaptive cruise control, you can push on the button here. It's active now, but it can also work if I want to take over steering but keep the adaptive cruise control. All I do is push on the button right here. So now we have the adaptive cruise control active, but not HDA, which still maintains us in our lane, but it will not keep us in our lane. We need to fully keep control of the car at this point because, like I said, the system is not active. But to activate it again, we'll push on the button here. This guy just merged, so we have vehicles coming up behind us. What we want to do is we want to merge out of, so we'll merge right in between those two cars. It won't allow us, so that's why we will take over. The reason why we're doing that is we don't want to be stopping traffic. The left lane is for passing only. That's a little driving tip advice here from me. Just move over. I mean, it goes without saying, but you know, that's why it's called a highway driving assist feature and not a fully autonomous feature. From what you can see, the lines on our lanes are not clearly visible. We have traffic lights, we have, you know, people speeding by and just running red lights maybe, or falling asleep on a red light, whatever. But let's activate our adaptive cruise control, our smart driving assist, and you see, there we go. We had a guy turning and it hit the brakes suddenly, which means that, you know, if there was a guy closer behind us, we would have gotten rear-ended, which is one of the reasons why you shouldn't drive on a cruise control in a local traffic environment. And as you can see, even though we have our steering wheel selected, it's not green. And as you will see, now we have a red traffic light. It won't stop. It'll just keep going. So it's not a fully autonomous feature. But as you see here, we don't even have a line on the right-hand side of the road, which means that the system will have a very hard time recognizing where the lane ends. So that's why, you know, definitely don't use it in these conditions. This is another situation where, you know, you have a sharp turn, very badly marked road. The vehicle will not be able to take a turn here, so that's why we need to, you know, take over. Narrow lanes, congested traffic are also another reason why I wouldn't recommend using, you know, cruise control or any of the semi-autonomous driving features that these cars offer. Overall, use any and all of your safety and convenience features that your vehicle offers with great caution, and always pay attention to the road, because you can never fully rely on the semi-autonomous or even fully autonomous driving capabilities of your vehicle and its proximity sensors and its safety warnings and whatnot. But this will conclude our video for today. Thank you for watching this far. Make sure that you hit the subscribe button down below, you know, like the video for the YouTube algorithm, which will help out the channel a lot, and share it with somebody that doesn't know how to use it or has it and hasn't used it yet. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.